Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick announcement before we begin, this video has two stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user 2 countries 1 problem. Flying to visit my 26 female boyfriend, 27 male, 1 month, 6 days from now, and now he's not speaking to me because I made a mistake. My story happened really fast, and I want to add a disclaimer that I understand that it might seem weird and super fast, especially to a lot of Western readers, but as of right now, I want to focus on a different question. Smiley face. So, my boyfriend, let's call him Owen, is from the country I live in, but he works in another country nearby, about 2.5 hours by plane. We met and kind of immediately fell for each other, but he was just here for a vacation and had to go back to work in that other country. We decided to do long distance, which is not as dramatic as it sounds because he comes back here on a frequent basis and I have the ability to work from other locations pretty regularly. Also to note, in our countries, when you're dating someone, it's not common to have close friends of the opposite sex unless your significant other knows them personally. I know that a lot of people in the West, or at least the Western media, tend to see that as possessive, and to each their own. But to us, it means more like we see our significant other as so fantastic that of course other people would want to steal them. To me, it's romantic. I also have a friend, Albert, 28 male, who may or may not have a crush on me. He hasn't said anything explicitly, but I do get vibes from him occasionally. He's one of my best friend's brothers, and I don't feel like I'm in a position to end our friendship. But Owen knows about him, and I told Owen I would go lower contact with Albert to make him feel better. Albert and some of his guy friends took me and a female friend of mine to a karaoke night at a cafe in a shady neighborhood before I met Owen. But I have told Owen a few anecdotes about the night because it was funny. There was nothing date-like or romantic about it, and it was a fun night. Tonight, Owen and I were texting on WhatsApp and he asked what my plans were for the evening. I mentioned that I might go to a cafe with a friend. He asked me if it was those shady neighborhood guys and I said, haha, yeah, but I'm feeling lazy and I would rather talk to you anyway. His answer was, aha. So I asked him if he didn't want to talk to me and he said no. I asked why, and I told him I felt that it was mean, and he said it was because he doesn't like those shady neighborhood guys, and told me I was free, that it's my life, and said goodbye. I texted him a bunch to say I didn't understand that going in low contact with Albert meant not talking to him at all, which I really didn't. I wasn't trying to make a problem. I also told him I would stop bothering him, but that I'm his, and that he can tell me anything I can do to fix this. Owen hasn't answered me, but he has read all the messages. I have plans next Thursday to fly to his country. I'm a planner, and while I hope that Owen talks to me in the interim, I'm concerned about what to do if he doesn't answer. Should I still go to the country? I'd like to visit, but it's not the safest place to go on my own as a woman. Also, am I overreacting by being so concerned about whether he'll answer me? I tried to conceal the countries because of privacy, but please let me know if you would rather just have that information to give advice. I appreciate any and all help. Well, OP, it's a weird situation and a weird place for me to give any advice to you because of the whole cultural thing. You see, the way I see it, it's okay if you have male friends as long as you trust them and your boyfriend trusts you. But apparently in your culture, it's a big no. So then I don't understand why you'd say you find it romantic and now you're all concerned that he won't talk to you because you have a male friend. So I'm not gonna comment on that and I'm just gonna focus on answering your questions. Should you still go to the country if he doesn't answer? Well, I would say no, maybe change the tickets to go someplace else and have some fun, because apparently the country that you would go to isn't the safest place to go to alone. And regarding your other question, I don't think you're overreacting. It is kinda rude to just ghost you like that. I mean, from what I read, it didn't seem like he was breaking up with you or anything like that. Unless telling you that you are free and that it's your life means that you guys are over. If not, maybe I'm reading that wrong. But I think that if he wants to end the relationship with you, then he should outright say, you know what, we're not dating anymore. Maybe that's just me. And what do you guys think about this situation? What would your answer to OP's questions be? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Some user that needs to buy a vowel says, he's throwing a fit, and if you go, you're teaching him that when he gets insecure, you'll jump through major hoops to prove you care and quell his insecurities. Don't set that precedent. Tell him you understand he's upset, but you're not getting on a plane till he confirms he still wants you to visit by X date. Then stick to it. And OP responds, I think giving him a date to respond by is a really logical idea, and I never would have thought of it. I'm really scared if I say anything like that, then Owen just won't answer me. But that may be because my previous boyfriend of 3.5 years ended our relationship by refusing to answer texts, calls, visits to his house. There was no fight, and the last thing he said was, I love you so much and I could never live without you. And I know he didn't die. Would you be concerned about Owen not responding? Does it even matter? I'm feeling like a basket case right now, and I really appreciate your input. Just Move Out says, he's purposefully not talking to you to make you feel guilty about your behavior. In a healthy relationship, he would have discussed with you his feelings about Albert, and the two of you would have talked it out and come to a resolution. Either his fears would have been assuaged by talking to you about it, or if Albert has acted out of line in the past, maybe the two of you would have agreed that you don't hang out with him alone or something. But instead of talking to you, he's trying to manipulate you into doing what he wants, and he's also not telling you directly not to see Albert. So he can pull out the I never said that card if you call him out on being a controlling douche nozzle. A good partner doesn't give you the silent treatment. Delete It says, this is like what just happened to me. If the tickets are non-refundable, go. But go and have a good time without Owen. It may sound harsh, but if he doesn't want to put in the effort to fix the problem, then he is the problem, not your mistake. Here's what happened to me. I was planning to go see my boyfriend, then annoyed him too much about some things I was going through, and he cut off all contact, blocked me even. I tried to give him deadlines, tried everything. Nothing. Sent my final, have a good life, but go F yourself, smiley face. I realized that the guy was the problem, not me. If they can't face you and try to fix the problem, they aren't worth worrying over. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm really bad at identifying game playing and manipulative behavior because I used to be too sensitive to slights and I tried to become more understanding. It has definitely backfired because now I can make a million excuses for anyone, even when they don't deserve it. Does the part where he said, it's your life, and then stopped speaking to me count as game playing? I feel like maybe it does because it's saying one thing when you really mean another. Well, I think the community gave OP a pretty decent read on her situation, and they had some advice to throw in there as well. OP still seems a little bit confused. Now, before we move on with the update, just remember that up here is a playlist full of other stories that you might want to check out after this video ends. Now let's continue with the update. So Owen and I made up, and he was back to calling me baby and saying sweet things. I didn't want to stay together with him, but I did want to see him in his country and at least try one more time in person to tell him it was over. There was a snowstorm predicted in my country for 2 days before my flight, and we talked just a few days before that about rescheduling my flight, but I wasn't able to do it without paying a lot of money. So I told him I wouldn't be changing it or canceling it, and he said okay. Then, one day before my flight, I asked him where we were staying so I could tell the customs officials, and he was shocked that I was still coming and told me he wouldn't be able to see me because of work. I was too surprised to register much anger at that point. I asked him what we were to each other because our communication had clearly been below par, and he told me, "You're my babe," smiley face. I asked if that meant I was his girlfriend, and he said, "You were supposed to be," but that he was so surprised at my lack of judgment that we wouldn't be boyfriend and girlfriend until the next time we saw each other. I asked what it meant to be his babe, and he told me we were exclusive and have feelings for each other, but we need to be cautious. At this point, I protested because as shocked as I was, I still realized that you need to tell someone when you are breaking up or changing the terms of your relationship. He accused me of flip-flopping. I didn't get that because for me, I considered us to be together all the way until he told me that I was his babe, and I told him repeatedly that that's what I want. I'm sort of superstitious about threatening breakups when I don't want to break up, so as a rule, I don't do that. We had a fight about the guy, and as far as I knew, we were still together, but I was concerned that because he wasn't talking to me, it meant that we weren't together. But I never told him I didn't want to be, and told him multiple times that I wanted to be with him. So the point at which I wanted to break up was when he told me with less than 24 hours notice that he hadn't thought I was still coming, and so he wouldn't be able to see me. That's not what spurred the breakup, but rather that he had demoted our relationship, and I was upset that he didn't include me in that decision precisely because I had been so vocal about what I wanted, consistently telling him I was happy to be with him, and I thought it would have been more polite to involve me in that decision. In terms of flying to his country, I couldn't get rid of the tickets with the amount of notice he gave me, so I decided to take a risk and just go. I didn't expect him to take care of me at that point, but I do think it would have been the polite thing to do to at least send me a text checking that I got in okay or something. I don't know, maybe not. Anyway, we left it as we care about each other and are exclusive. As for my trip, I went to the country anyway and haven't contacted him since, and he hasn't spoken to me either. I'm so glad I went because I had an amazing time and met new friends, and in general had an unforgettable experience. Thank you so much for talking me through it. I was really in one of those weird positions where things seem off but you don't trust yourself. OP's edit. To give you all more context, in my culture, arranged marriages are very popular, so I'm used to my friends having a fiancé after only meeting them a few times. Casual dating, or however you would describe the stage where you see more than one person at a time, I'm not exactly sure on terminology, doesn't exist. My impression, again, could be wrong, is that in the West people my age don't call each other boyfriend or girlfriend after a few weeks, but for us, it's almost immediate, sometimes as soon as you start talking at all, although I'm not that conservative. And then a proposal will be within a few months. At the same time, we often don't see each other that much, so things may move slower emotionally and physically. I hope that's a better way to describe it. Smiley face. Okay, well, OP, I'm really happy you had a lot of fun on that trip. I'm not sure if you're still dating this dude or not, but whatever you are doing, I hope it's making you happy. So all the best in the future, OP, and thank you so much for sharing. Now, let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user rnevermore. Am I the a-hole for calling the police on my fiancé? Last night, my 35 male fiancé, 38 female, left in the evening to give a friend's son a ride back to his home. She implied she'd be home before 9. She left at around 7:45. 10:15 rolled around and she still wasn't home. I texted and she apologized to me, saying that her friend's son was actually in the next town over, maybe 30 minutes away, and she was coming home now. 11:45 rolled around and she still hadn't come home, so I called her to no answer, texted her to no response. I was getting very upset. 12:30 rolled around and still no response and no answer to my phone calls. I was extremely angry. 1:30 rolled around and my anger had completely transformed into worry, not answering my calls and texts not read. Around 1:45, I called the police. I have always heard that the first 24 hours of someone being missing are the most important, so I didn't want to waste time. I asked them to let me know if there had been any traffic accidents involving her car, and the operator told me that they would put out the word and send some cops to check along the route she would travel. I called all the hospitals in the area to check if she has been checked in, and I waited outside watching the road for her car for 3 hours. Partially because I didn't want the kids to hear me on the phone with hospitals, and secondly because I was sick with worry. At 7 a.m. she came home. She apologized for being out and said she had no excuse. She was driving home and felt tired, like she was falling asleep at the wheel, so she pulled over to the side of the road to sleep. When she did that, she found that her brand new phone had stopped working. She says she napped anyways because it was the responsible thing to do, and then came home at 7 a.m. to bring the kids to school and get to work on time. I immediately called the police and told them that she had come home safely and gave them the case number and told them to stop searching, which they did. My fiance brought the kids to school and left for work. I set out to start cleaning. Cleaning distresses me sometimes, and I got a call from a policeman asking where she worked. I told him and asked why, and I was informed that it was their policy to check on the person's wellness after a missing person is found. I asked them to not go by her work, but to give her a call instead. He said he couldn't promise. My fiance is relatively new to her job. A police officer showed up and asked to speak with her. She is now enraged at me for calling the police and sending a cop to her work and making her look bad. She is saying I overreacted and that she wasn't missing and that I was punishing her for doing the responsible thing and not driving while drowsy. She is saying that she is never going to leave the house again except for work because she is afraid I'm going to call the cops on her again. So, did I overreact? Should I have waited 2 days as she suggests? Well, OP, in my opinion, no, you did not overreact at all. You did the right thing. And she's now gaslighting you for actually being worried about her? And I don't think she looked bad. I mean, this could easily be explained like she explained it to you. And in my opinion, if anybody hears this story with these facts, they would say, well, you've got a very concerned fiance, and that's about it. So to summarize, no, you are not the a-hole, and the gaslighting seems a little bit weird, so I'm guessing there's something else going on here. What do you guys think? Let me know your judgment in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see their judgment. Kizzy by the Lake says, not the a-hole, but you know she's lying, right? And Dopey responds, I do suspect that the story isn't truthful, but she doesn't really have a history of lying to me, so I've been trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Minor Reddit says, not the a-hole, I don't believe her story one bit. Driving a kid home and disappearing for the entire night is a massive red flag. How does she not even know where he lives when she started the drive? How old is this kid? Pulling over and sleeping on the side of the road for a 30-minute drive is nuts. She is now turning this around to say she is the victim of your actions. The Riker Maneuver says, information request. So you actually believe the story your fiance is selling you? Look man, your fiance cheated on you. She didn't fall asleep on the side of the road. Her brand new phone didn't stop working. She was with someone else. Stop being so naive. And OP responds, I don't believe her story, but I don't know why she would lie. We have a somewhat open relationship that only demands that she talk to me about any potential partners first. That's why this is so confusing. If she was interested in someone, she need only talk to me about it, although exes are off limits. Alright, well the community says not the a-hole, and they also read something dodgy going on in her story, but apparently it doesn't matter because they have an open relationship. So let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. First of all, thank you to those of you who offered kind words and solid advice. This update is likely to disappoint some of you, as it does me. My fiance and I have been fighting solidly since before I posted my last thread. It's been exhausting. I called her out on her obvious lie and she fumed at how awful I was for calling her a liar. From then on, it was as if she was falling down a smooth well, desperately clawing and grabbing at anything she could to blame me for as she went deeper and deeper. I'm not a perfect man, but in this particular situation, I was an angel, so she had nothing to grab onto. I did a lot of soul searching and I made a call that most of you will hate. I decided to bury the hatchet. I love her very, very dearly. I had no proof of a lie and I wasn't too concerned about what she was really up to anyway. Our relationship is open, so even if she effed around, I didn't care much. She still fought with me though. The fight continued to the point where she broke up with me, but not really, which was a common tactic that she'd used before. I called her on it and she fought with me still. I asked for space for a night so I could sleep off the exhaustion, and she got upset and told me I was neglectful and selfish for not going to her and making up in person. I am stupid, I am aware of it. Even though all of this, I was apparently able to believe that what she said in emotion wasn't really her talking. Then today I was having lunch and money has been tight lately for some reason. Weird. So I flipped through my wallet to find my credit card, which was missing. Well, you see where this goes. She had stolen it. She cited our desire to join lives together and merge finances, and that's when I lent her my wallet once. She took it so she wouldn't have to bother me by asking again. This credit card is mine, under my name, and for emergencies only. She was using it for the last month and a half. While she has been decent enough to pay back some of it, there was still a $1,500 balance on it that hasn't been paid. She says that it's hers just as much as mine and resents me calling her a thief. A lot of the uses were spent at ATMs for cash withdrawals and some interesting ones at the casino. Those of you who guessed she was gambling were probably right on the money. At that point, I admit I'd lost it. I'm a very calm person, but there was only so much denial of reality that I could take. It's still blurry, but I said a lot of horrible things to her and I'm in the process of evicting her from my life. I am canceling everything that is in my name that she is a part of, including the new phone line, canceling her car insurance and reclaiming the car that I gave her, and she has trashed. Apparently, I can handle lies, cheating, and secrets, but who knew theft was my line? Learning experience. Now thinking back, I can identify lots of sketchy crap that my love goggles blinded me to. Well, OP, maybe you should include having love goggles to your learning experience. Other than that, good for you that you got out of that relationship. Thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.